I've been wanting to make this video for a few days now, but I didn't really know how to start it, and I got it in my head that I need to do a lot of research and I need to know what I'm talking about, and I can't just talk about something from my own perspective. And then I realised I was just making it overly complicated when it needn't be. But I wanted to talk about anxiety and panic attacks and depression and all the kind of things that I've suffered with. I spent a lot of time in my life reading self-help books and going to therapy and doing this and the other to try and feel better, and I have got a lot out of it. But one of the things I always seem to forget, no matter how many times I'm told it, is you always need to continue working on yourself. Always, especially if you do suffer with mental illness, you do have to put the time in. And it can be so difficult because when you're feeling happy and you're like, yeah, I'm good, you don't want to then be like, let me sit down and read my anxiety book, or let me go to therapy or whatever. And so you get it in your head that you're like, no, I'm fine. And part of you is fine. Like, it's not like sunshine and rainbows that aren't real. Like, it is sunshine and rainbows, but it can be so easy to just then disregard the fact that you may still need help, or that you might have a relapse of some sort, or you might have suddenly an event come up that fills you with crazy anxiety that you've not felt for months, depending on what you're doing. I'm just waving at my neighbour. She kind of saw me recording the video and I was just like, hi. She probably always talk to herself. Yeah, you might have an event or something come up, and then suddenly you're like, oh my god, you're overwhelmed with anxiety, and you don't realise, because you're like, well, I've not been anxious for months, so maybe I'm cured. And it would be great to be cured if there's any kind of, if that's a real thing, I don't know, but I've suffered with panic attacks a lot at home in the past when I've got very emotional, and I always just thought to myself that there was something that only ever occurred at home and that it was fine because when I'm at home I could calm down and so on and so on. And then I went to an event that I wasn't all that comfortable going to just because of the subject matter. But I wanted to go because I was like, I'd been invited by a friend and I wanted to keep putting in effort into that friendship. And I was like, okay, I wanted to go with her, not to the event itself. But I went, even though it was on a subject that makes me quite uncomfortable, and I went to this event. And during the event, I started to feel very, very overwhelmed. It was all in the dark, with a load of flashing lights, and it was all very crowded. And in the past, I've suffered with feeling claustrophobic, but this was like the worst claustrophobia I'd felt. And before I knew it, I was having a panic attack, like ready to fall over, heart's beating out my chest, full on panic attack. And I got taken out of that situation and it was fine. And I had the paramedics sit there and write up all the information about me, and they explained that I'd had a panic attack, or that's what they believed I'd had. And part of me was just like, I don't have panic attacks in public. That doesn't happen. That's not real. That's what I thought anyway. I spoke to this lovely woman and she told me about her past and things that have happened to her, and the fact that it's not unreasonable to have a panic attack in public. It's not wrong of you. It's not bad. Like, sometimes it just happens. Sometimes your body just responds that way when you're in an overwhelming, overstimulating situation. And it was lovely to talk to her, and I went away from that and I was like, okay, I need to continue to work on myself. I need to find ways to look after myself, to learn more about my conditions or my anxiety and my depression. I need to do what I can. And then before I knew it, I felt happy again and was back in this la la la, my anxiety isn't that bad and life is wonderful. And it was, like, life was better. I was getting better in different ways and things were settling down, but again, I'd forgotten again to continue to look after myself. And then I went to a concert the other night and I was in a completely safe part, but I was at the gig And I'm normally okay at gigs, even if there's a lot of people around me. I'm normally kind of like, I'm the person that's there and sees other people get pulled out of the gig and is like, oh man, that sucks. But I'm always like totally fine, even if I'm sweating and hungry and need the toilet or whatever. I'm normally like, I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. I've waited however long to get this space, blah, blah, blah. And I was just there and I turned around and I said to Adam, I said, God, there's a lot of people here. And everyone was kind of like getting closer. Not too close, but just closer. And then I turned around and there was this really bright light shining in my face, one of the stage lights, and it just reminded me of the lights that were at the prior event that I'd had a panic attack at. And within about 10 seconds, I was having a full-blown panic attack again. And I was trying to stay standing, and I was trying to just be like, okay, you realise what is happening, so just calm down. If you know it's a panic attack, why are you still panicking? And that just kind of got me more and more worked up, and I just said, I have to get out of here. And Adam was like, what? And I have to leave. And I kind of rushed out of the gig, and he was like, you okay? I was like, yeah. I said, I think I was having a panic attack, and I managed to calm down much quicker this time because I was aware of what was happening and I understood my symptoms even more. But I still couldn't calm down until I'd taken myself out of that situation. And I went back into the gig once I'd calmed down. And I got a chair and I sat down on the chair. I'd asked the security for a chair because I was worried I was going to fall over again if I got too worked up. And I just sat at the back of the gig and I started crying, and I felt so frustrated with myself and so angry at myself. I was kind of like, my body's failed me. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, my body has failed me. I've spent all this time to be at the front of the gig, and my mental health has got in the way of me just having what could have or should have been a nice time. That's what I was thinking. And it's so easy to blame your mind and your body, but realistically, when I look back, the day of the event, I had not had a great day. I had had some very stressful things happen, and I had not done what I could in that day to look after myself after those stressful events. I didn't read my anxiety book. I didn't listen to Ajahn Brahm. I didn't do anything calming. I just watched a movie on Netflix, played a bunch of music, and tried to distract myself to the best of my ability. And it's something I said in my social media video about distracting yourself rather than facing the emotions you feel. And it's easy to go, well, I'm not on social media, so I'm, facing the world. And really, like, in that moment, I wasn't. And it's not to say that I wouldn't have had a panic attack at the event, but it's possible that I wouldn't have if I'd have just taken the time to take care of myself. And so I've come away from that again, thinking and trying to constantly remind myself to still keep taking care of myself. I'm trying to read my anxiety book for at least half an hour a day now. I'm like, that's not too overwhelming. Because I need to remember that I do suffer with anxiety. I do suffer with depression. I do suffer with panic attacks. And they don't just go away in one instance. You can do your best and you can learn coping strategies. And I think as a society, we always want a quick fix. Like if we want to lose weight, we want this new diet that's suddenly going to fix it. And if we want a new job, we just want to click our fingers and the first job we apply to gets us the job. And it can't always be that way. Life isn't that easy. But just because I have these problems, it doesn't mean that my body fails me. I have the opportunity to choose to look after myself and do what I can. And there are some days I might think, oh, it's not that bad. And some days I might think, oh, but I'm super happy. Why do I need to? Then having a day like having a panic attack at the Nina Nesbitt concert reminds me that that's why I need to take care of myself. Because I don't want to be too afraid to go to concerts with, confined spaces and bright lights. And it's best that I assess what my trigger was or why I was so triggered by it, and try and move past it and try and learn about it, rather than just kind of being like, let's not talk about that. And so if anything, I'm making this video to remind myself and anyone else that you always need to take care of yourself, even on your happy days, even on your bad days. If anything, especially on your happy days, because on your happy days when it goes wrong, it can feel so much worse, because you're kind of just like, I was having a great time. Why? And so every day, do what you can to take care of yourself. Don't just tell yourself that the world is perfect and fine and you're happy, because you may be happy. But I think I would have been happier that day if I'd have sat down and read my anxiety book, if I'd have listened to Ajahn Brahm, if I'd have done something that I knew was very calming to me, rather than trying to distract myself from those situations. I'm so going to have to explain to my neighbour that I make YouTube videos and that I don't just sit by the window talking to myself at all times. Ah.